Hey everybody, Jeff Reinhardt here, LMP and Lancaster Online. Welcome into week 9 of the LL Football Roundtable, sponsored by Auto House of Lancaster. Here we are in Lampeter, Lancaster County, home of the LS Pioneers, and they got a big game this week on Friday against Twin Valley. A couple of state-ranked teams, a couple of top-ranked teams in District 3, and this should be a whopper of a game. Let's start with Colin Shelley, O-line guy for LS. And I got to ask you about Iron Pioneer, because every time I get a chance to talk to the big dudes here, I got to ask them about Iron Pioneer and your weightlifting prowess, why that's important to you and your program, and what it means to you.
I mean, as a big guy, it just feels it's our time to shine because we don't get stats or anything. It's time to actually see us, and that's our big goals, to lift hard and put that work in the off season. I mean, it's great. I mean, it's like a brotherhood in there. We all are pushing each other to our best, you know. Just trying to get better for the season coming up, and even during the season when we're lifting, trying to make sure we're healthy, staying strong throughout the year.
Talk to me up to this point. First 8 weeks, where are you at, and do you like the way your team is playing through the first 8?
I feel great. I mean, the team's playing really well, which always helps with morale around the team and stuff. But, I mean, everybody here is ready for some competition, ready to go into the playoffs and win a section title this year. So
through the first 8 weeks, what do you like about the way your team's been playing?
Like this year, we're all just like picking each other up. Even if we make like a bad play, like it's just don't get on them. Like you got to pick them up instead. You know, it's a lot more fun playing. Yeah.
Speak to your balance a little bit and just how everybody contributes both ways.
Yeah. Well, our offense like RPO most plays. So even if it's a run play, it could be a pass, and even if it's a run to Dom, it could be Caleb taking it. And defense, like we play a stack, so you know most of our guys can cover anyways. Our linebackers and our corners, they can tackle a lot.
Let's talk Friday. Should be a nutty crowd, homecoming. They're going to bring a crowd. Things that LS has to do on Friday to get a dub and to get to week 10 with a shot to win the section.
You know, I really think we can play our best game on Friday because we got some players out right now, but we'll play our best game. They'll be ready. I know it. Our student section should be good, hopefully. And, yeah, we'll play our best game every play.
1, 2, 3, forward! And we're back from the wilds of LS. Thanks to those folks for hanging, and we're in the newsroom for the latest edition of the LL Football Roundtable, brought to you by Auto House of Lancaster. I'm Mike Gross, your host. To my left is Jason Morente. To my right is Jeffrey Reinhardt. These dudes cover high school football in the Lancaster 11 League for LNP, LancasterOnline.com, and we're headed to week 9. Last week we had one game that I would call season defining.
Yes.
And we're going to review that one quickly and get into the 3 games that are kind of in that category this week. So, Wyomissing over Twin Valley in a battle of sort of mid-sized school powerhouses. Jason, what do you think?
Maybe we dismissed Wyomissing too quickly.
Yeah.
Tradition never graduates. They put it on T-shirts for a reason.
Yeah.
It looked like Twin Valley was the favorite, playing at home.
Yeah, I picked
undefeated, ranked #1 in the state, but you know rankings are kind of a nebulous thing. But Justice Hardy, the star of that game, 297 rushing plus receiving yards, which is a Wyomissing record. We're talking about one of the most storied programs in the state. But Wyo also doesn't throw a lot, so most of those all-purpose yards were rushing yards for most players, but Justice was near
now, what kind
at
of
100.
player is he? Is he a tailback?
He's sort of that. He runs the ball and catches the ball, and he's one of those kids you heard about when he was in like 8th grade. Like this kid's coming. He's going to be a star. He's a sophomore now, and he's already there. And I have a feeling 297 probably won't be the biggest number he ever puts up.
He's like a wing back in the wing tee.
Yeah, right.
He'll jet sweeps and tosses. You mentioned that they don't throw the ball.
Yeah.
The kid who had the record before him had 4 receiving yards and rushed for 291. That's pretty funny.
It's hard to get to 300 without any receiving yards.
So Hardy had 196 and
a
101 receiving on 2 catches. Special player. Amazing.
What are the implications of this result?
Implications are Twin Valley suffers its first loss, and now they're a game back. YO is now tied for first with LS. LS is undefeated, and oh, by the way, LS plays Twin Valley on Friday, which is another monster game.
We'll talk about in a minute.
LS at YO in week 10, Saturday afternoon, 1:30, only game on the schedule next Saturday.
Yeah.
So they both need to win here in week 9 to set that game up for a winner takes all. Twin Valley's still in it. They need to win and then see what happens in week 10. Twin Valley obviously still safe for postseason and everything, but it's funny what you said about tradition never graduates. I mean, we've been talking about Twin Valley for like 8 weeks straight, and why I could just see the Wyo kids keep talking. That's okay, you know. We'll play them. We'll see you.
Well, yeah, it's easy to say that, Ariel.
Yeah, and then they beat them. So
anyway, so as Jeffrey alluded, LS and Twin Valley this week. Twin Valley having to respond to getting smacked in the face a little bit.
Yeah, and
Jason,
go on the road. Yeah, going on the road. LS the only undefeated team left because Wyo has a non-league loss in the section.
Yeah.
Caleb House snuck up on me a little, almost 1,100 passing yards and 700 rushing yards. He could go 1,000, and when Kai Harding did that in Garden Spot, it was such a big deal, and he's going to sort of be in that same conversation.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
And a phenomenal defensive team that doesn't give up many points. There's a path to tri-champs here.
Yeah.
You know, if Twin Valley were to beat LS and LS were to beat Wyo, so there could be co-champs, tri-champs, or an outright championship. I think Wyo has the easiest road left because they already have the one win over the big three and a home game in week 10. So this is LS's season right here. These next 2 games, that's the regular season for them is all about winning against Twin Valley and Wyomissing.
Nice scheduling there.
Yeah,
Twin
and it's
Valley,
not an
Wyo,
accident, right?
9 and 10.
The scheduling coup.
Yeah, you mentioned House at Myers for Twin Valley. Same thing, 1,000 pass, 700 rush. So we could see 2,000 kids here in the same game. This LS stat surprised me. They've returned 5 interceptions for touchdowns.
Ooh.
House has 2, Danny Weichler has 2, and Don Brown has 1. 5 pick sixes. Yeah. That's pretty opportunistic, and they're a plus 14 in turnover margin. They only have 2 turnovers.
Yeah, that's not.
Their linebackers really swarm, and they make a lot of hits, and they're really active in that defense. Yeah.
LS is really tough. That's a great game.
So there it is. That's one of the 3 monster games this weekend. Number 2, Cocalico, resurgent.
Oh yeah.
Against Conrad Weiser in a game that will almost certainly, or certainly,
it could certainly
decide a section title.
Finish it off. Weiser finishes up week 10 with a non-league. So Scouts, this is their last section game. So if they win, they'd go 6-0. Nobody could catch them.
They win the
So
section.
Weiser wins, they win. If Cocalico wins, and they're hot, they clinch a tie, and then they have to play Fleetwood in week 10, and if they beat Fleetwood, then they win it outright. So still a couple of scenarios, but if Weiser wins, they win it. Undefeated, Scouts have been really good, solid, opportunistic, balance. Gingrich's been a really good thrower, passer kid. Saw Cocalico last week, guys. They look like Cocalico again. They really do.
It feels like they figured it out on the defensive side, and then on the offensive side the last couple of weeks.
3 100-yard rushers last week.
Yeah.
Meyer had 120 and three touchdowns. Hornig had 150, and Epinette, who you know from track, 195 and 2 touchdowns.
481 yards total. They were averaging 250 in the first 7 games.
Yeah,
so that's a sign that they're
480.
coming together.
And the fun Cocalico stat for the week, they have not completed a pass in 4 weeks.
Wow.
All rushing yards in the
that is a
last
fun
4
fact.
games, all wins.
That is a fun fact.
Yep.
And yet, the way they play, you can see how it would take them a while with relatively inexperienced kids to figure out how to block the quarterback ball handling is a big part of that offense,
big time.
right?
Oh,
You know
yeah.
that you can see how that can happen, and it has happened. And that guy can coach, by the way. So anyway, that's a huge one. This one literally is a section championship game, correct, Ryan? CV and Exeter.
CV Exeter in Section 2. Winner gets a tie, and then they got to play in Week 10. So the winner goes to 9-0. They're both 8-0. CV Exeter. That's a good matchup. Winner goes to 9-0, and then would clinch outright with a win in Week 10. They'd get no worse than a tie for the section.
So tell us everything that's going to happen in that game, Jason.
Can I talk about the towel plow?
Yes, you must.
I've written about the towel
You
plow
must.
twice, so it should come up in the show. offensive lineman who used to be a running back in the C team days. He wanted one carry. They gave him one carry on the 1 yard line. Tal Stoltzfus plows in for the touchdown.
Nice.
5'10", 250. Not easy to stop that in short.
5'10", 250.
The fridge.
So that was part of a 42-0 win for CV over E-Town. Never threatened. You know, they have a great defense. We don't talk about their defense.
No.
61 points allowed. A touchdown or fewer in 6 out of the 8 games.
Oof.
Seth Morgan, one of the best in the league on the defensive
Ball
side.
hawker.
Yeah, just big and physical and always in the backfield, and the kind of guy maybe doesn't get as much recognition because he's not scoring touchdowns, but is as important to that team as anybody.
That's an awesome matchup. Exeter really hasn't been sniffed either.
Yeah,
they have
that's true.
comparable stats across the board.
Yeah.
Zandier might be an X factor, rush for 1,000. He's been taking wildcat snaps at quarterback for a week and a half because Martinez has been out. Averages 15 yards a carry. So Morgan and Corson and that whole crew trying to stop Zandier. CV won this game last year.
That's a big deal.
And it was kind of an upset because I think Exeter was undefeated and they knocked them out at first.
That's right. Good point.
So Exeter's been sitting on this one for a year. It is at Exeter, so I favor them a smidge. But 8-0, 8-0. This is a great game.
Exeter's one of those programs that's become the consistent great team every season. It used to be they'd have a good few seasons and maybe a down season. Now they're just like
they're
9-10 wins. You can just write them.
A lot of good
in
athletes.
ink.
Yeah, they're pretty loaded.
It's really changed.
Tyler shaking his head emphatically. He's an Exeter alumnus. He likes hearing this.
They've really arrived.
That's a tough game to pick. Because
Oh yeah,
they're
these are all
so-
tough to
yeah,
pick. These are big time matchups, and just let's see what happens.
I don't think those teams have been tested really either. That's the hard. I mean,
Yeah,
CV
that's
had that one game against Spring Grove, but otherwise their point differential's 300 to 50, 60 points. It's been blowouts.
That's an aberration too, because Spring Grove is not great. I mean, that surprised me a little bit. But otherwise, they've been terrific. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right,
Fun
so
games.
Next week, week 10, we'll have playoff implications and all that other stuff. But for this week, these are the three marquee matchups, and go out and check them out and enjoy it. This has been the latest edition of the LL Football Roundtable, brought to you as always by Auto House of Lancaster. For Jason Guarente, for Jeffrey Reinhardt, we'll see you next week.